Well, I got the scheme again. I gave it a few more tries just to see. I went and I grabbed that fancy crossbow. Stray's got it in hand here now. This guy, the gold-fingered spike flinger from that merchant who was washed up at the, whatever it's called. It's not Andra's Gift. It's the whatever it's called down south of Gilded Vale. Went ahead and soulbound that because the dragon's damage resistance is so high, it's very hard to do any damage to her at all with a small weapon like a bow. So I went ahead and got a larger weapon and saw if I could get through her with that. That didn't really work out very well, but I did manage to get her down to like 2 pips of health at one point without even trying all that hard. I think that it could be doable. I think if we played our cards right, we could probably take her down even now. But why don't we just come back later and destroy her with more confidence instead of fooling around with it now? We will, however, be leveling up this crossbow. Apparently, the crossbow is bugged, and then the default, as you advance your progress through it, it actually slows itself down instead of becoming faster, which it's supposed to do. But in theory, we have modded in a fix for that. It's quite a substantial requirement to level it up as well. You need to score knockdowns with it, not necessarily with it, but while wielding it. Let's make sure Kana doesn't have anything else to say to us first. Kana, you got anything to say? Nope. So let's send him home. First, let's divest him of all of his stuff. Kana. Oh, we were going to give you this as well. Durance's robe. Rundle's finery. Much nicer. So Kana, everything you have, everything you are. Let's just strip it out. Where's that blade? That blade, Whispers of Yenwood, that marked us out as a proper master of this place. Of intellect +1, oil and fine, a fine large shield. We don't need any of those things anymore. Not for him, anyway. We're going to bring out Hiravius. Dismiss. Now, of course, that is a shame to lose the 20% attack speed on everybody, especially since we are shifting Stray over to a slow-ass loading weapon. But it is what it is. It is what it is. What should we do? I'd love to get in some... Oh, didn't we leave an encounter unfought down here in Pearlwood Bluff? I believe... Oh, Hiravius has got levels to spend. Nice. He's already... Oh, he didn't have any athletics. Now he does. Charm Beast. For 10 seconds. That's not much. Spell Mastery, though. This is what he can cast. Oh, nice. Yeah, how about a heal? A mild regeneration effect and raising max endurance on party members. Sunbeam? Maybe an AoE instead? Sure. Hiravius, how about we equip you with some of the gear that that you get to be our new frontline man. I don't know how well suited you are to that, but it's your job now. That's what you're for. Let's give him the deflection instead of that. Give him some heavier armor. Surely we can do better than that. Give him the second chance armor. Durance's robe. Perception gloves. Give him a little hat. Give him a little shield. Let's see how much trouble we can get ourselves into over here. So what we'd love to do is to have him score some... Oh, did we win the encounter? Maybe we did defeat the encounter. Nope, there it is. Or there's something anyway. But, wrong weapon. Hitting pretty hard up there. Look how slowly it reloads, though. Need to score a bunch of knockdowns. I believe that there's a Cypher spell that we can use to get knockdowns, otherwise it's just a 15% chance on hit. Which seems like it's gonna take a while. Ooh. Down he goes. 15% chance to cast prone on hit or crit. Cause the prone affliction 10 times. Would it be easier just to respec, do you think? There are Cypher spells that cause prone. I think that we can use those. We just need to go to... Maybe we can do it at Cadnua? I'm not sure. We can certainly do it at Gilded Vale, though. Retrain Stray. It will cost 1,125 copper. Expensive. Well, he's already pretty jacked. Oh, we can only reduce things. Points left, negative. Oh no! Oh no, retraining him will cost us all of our excellent bonus points. Well, that's not something I'm willing to do. No. This is untenable. We'd have to fucking respec back into it and open up the cheat engine again and... fine, you know what? We'll just let it happen organically. Oh no, we can't even exit. We can't back out? Damn it. What would it be to knock him down? Yeah, Mind Wave would have been the one, but unfortunately we didn't take it, and the only way to get hold of it is to level back up, which we can't do. A damn shame. Maybe there's a spell, like a scroll, that causes knockdown. That would be something that he could probably use with his lore as high as it is. Man, this is a pain. Exit. Yeah, I can't level up. Do it. Just take me back. Just take me back. Okay. Not scrolls, though. That would be an interesting approach. Scrolls, what causes knockdown? Protection? Burst of Summer Flame, Nature's Mark, Ray of Fire, Valor, Youthful Spirits, Prayer Against Fear, Crackling Bolt, Protection, Twin Stones. Oh, no knockdown on that. Boiling Spray. Fireball doesn't cause knockdown. I guess we can just let it happen as it happens. It seems like it's going to take a long time. That's all I'm saying. I've tried to look up how to cheat to level them up, but it's, like, not easy. You have to... It might not even work for this game. It might just be in the sequel. You just obliterate... Oh, we knocked her down. Nice. And did they get... Yep, it got registered. Sweet. Good news. Hit the Munfugra. Are we gonna die? Do we die here this day? She's doing fine. She's not worried. He's very worried. Heravius is not doing well. Firebug. How about some healing spells, my friend? Got a little bit of that, but not much. Oh, it's only for himself? That's not ideal. Where's Heravius? He's over there. Shit. He's down! All that matters is that we continue to land hits with Stray. I suppose also that we survive. That also is important. Use it. Is everybody else down? No, Sagani's still doing fine. We could beguile the Drake and buy ourselves some time. Or we can just keep shooting him. Oh no, there's more. Can't afford to make the encounter any larger now. Hey, Stray activates prone. Nice. Wonder if that counted even though he killed the guy. Nope, it did not. Hey, there's the prone, and that one counted. Yes, okay, we'll get there. We will get there. Easy stuff. Party's doing great. Party is doing great. We probably want to talk to our boy before too very much longer. We've already gone down there. That's where we got that cool ring for Aloth. That cool ring. Why don't we talk to Durance? Your face is full of need, Durance snorts. It looks to burst as if you didn't speak. I had questions of you. If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door. Tell me about Magran. Oh, you know her, you must. He gives a bitter chuckle that his tone evens out. She's a many-headed bitch. What are your views on her? She's a goddess as fickle as they come, and with all the failings you'd expect of an empress and a whore. He frowns, scratches at his face. Her clergy share the same failings. Too many eyes, too many wants, too much to hold on to. That's the failing of a god. More aspects than words to describe her, like most of them. He snorts. A god with many nations to oversee only serves to spread herself too thin. Although flame rarely crosses twice, so perhaps that is the only truth she embraces. Who knows? Gods get greedy. When it comes to fire, fire is a god's hunger. What are her aspects? Durance begins to count them on his fingers, chanting it off. War transforms, fire consumes, trials purify. Warfare, fire, consuming, purification, and most of all, transforming. Trials as well, but all things are put to the test anyway. A trial can consume, purify, or transform. They are all linked, although at its heart is the flame, and the flame is what matters. It is the source of all things. Guess they should have started with that, eh? Any fool around a campfire knows that. Without flames, we would have made little progress in the dark. To hear some of the inner fires tell it around the hearth and bellows, even in the halls of Ashfall, you'd think that fire brought life to man, and that fire was Magran. Some of the older texts say she rubbed her hands together and they burst into flame, or another god shafted her like a poker. There are different perspectives on her then. He grunts. Mine is only one sight among many. Durance frowns, pauses, takes his eyes take on an eager gleam. But here's one. I can speak to how the losing side sees her, and that should tell you enough. Let me speak to what an Adiran sees. And what does an Adiran see? The Adirans have a proper, polite translation for her. Excellence in war, tactical discipline, he snorts. That's why they lost the fucking colony, of course. They were properly still quoting that while we had them bent over the decks. Whew. All their guns and cannons are fine, but useless when your staff is crackling light into their skulls, dispensing red gifts left and right. His fists tighten, and he laughs. Adirans call that elevation, divine awareness. Those words are welcome as shit on one's boots, and that's all they took back with them when they were running. He shakes his head. A lesson learned at the wrong time. Almost feel a pang of sympathy for them. Almost. Lesson, what do you mean? The title of a god isn't knowing a god, adhering to words rather than walking the path, testing yourself in the heat of it. Walk until the words are stripped away and you feel it burning in your heart. That is the lesson. That Adiran politeness, that pretty adherence to the words of Scripture as they saw it, that burned their ships, scarred them, kept them running throughout the Deerwood campaign. He snorts. Divine awareness. There's no true faith in waiting to be tested. The best in battle can have already shit themselves plenty, shit themselves until they're dry and can focus on killing. Enough about Magran. I suspect the answers will seed more questions. Does she have any allies? Some, shaped for hunt and for war. He pauses, his fingers scratching at a pock scar on his cheek. Abaddon the golem, Galloway and his beasts. The latter keeps us honest and awake. Durance lets his free hand form a double grip on his staff. The other makes tools by which we punish those who are not. Abaddon. Not surprised you haven't heard. More gods than weeds in a field. And those are only the ones of this lifetime. They come and go, but are always here at the same time. Abaddon used to look human, Durance grunts. Got killed and built a new body for himself. Transformation, with Magran's help. Perhaps she needed her own blacksmith to tend the fires. If so, Abaddon serves it, Durance frowns. He's a weapon, a tool, not a god in my mind. Still, the people of Deerwood, the cities especially, hold him dear, so be it. Although if the reward for hard work and craftsmanship is a body like his, I'll keep my blood and cock and hips to thrust it with. You mentioned Galloway. Monster Father, the Great Hound, and as for monsters, this world has quite a few, and not just the ones on two legs. It's as if he's made monsters solely to hunt them down, to remind men of their place. He's busy making more, I suspect. More monsters than sense, variation upon variation. What do you mean? His aspects are a confusing bunch, and considering he respects reversals of fortune, especially in beasts, perhaps not so confusing. No reason why Magran and he share a bed in my eyes, even if he does belong in the trial. A filthy Orland god in many ways, howling and mewling perhaps like they do. They can keep their beasts. I'll take fire and weapons any day. Wanted to ask about Magran. Stare too long into the fire and you might blind yourself, Watcher. That and touching yourself might do the same. Who are her enemies? Durance laughs. Before, when you asked of allies, well, now, ally, enemy, that's a skin's edge of difference in history's eye. The mirth leaves his face and he sneers. But there were enemies. Were. Aethys, Durance gives a cold grin and nods. But we sorted that out. Then Hylia, and her queen's crown of feathers and birds. He sneers. Perhaps she claims to see the world from her perch. I hope she saw what happened to Aethys, and if she dares to walk upon the earth where such fire runs. Her temples are things of windows and twittering music. If a bird falls, know that it's a victory. Seeing yet another set of darting eyes from that feathered bitch die is a pleasure to me. You bear her a lot of rage. She and her clergy offer shelter to Eothasian since his death, his humiliation. She's next for me. Other questions? Tell me about Magran. Are you a servant of Wael? Let mysteries and questions remain with him, at least until the next time we need rest. How are you? He's only 11 Constitution. Making him a frontliner is perhaps an error. How are you? He's 13 Constitution. We could always make Durance our frontline man. Just hand over the fancy stick. Rod of the Pale Shades. Durance, would you like to be a melee boy? How you feel about that? You're pretty sturdy. Whispers of Yenwood, after all. Gaun's share. Alright, so that was everything here, right? Yeah. I believe that now we have delayed long enough and it is time to make for Deerwood Village. Yeah, we explored most of the gorge, right? We explored all the gorge? The gorge. There's more. Yep, got some combat. Ugras! Knock him down, yeah! Focus on another one who's not knocked down. Knock her down, come on! Hey, we maxed out our proficiency on small rain blights. Sweet. Just down to the water, eh? I guess it's running high. Deerford Village. Distant relative leaves a stronghold. I keep getting this message. How long do we gotta stand out here? Us? We're just minding our own business. Cooling our heels until Madreth says the job is done. An elf idles by the road watching the village across the river. He nods at us and approach, and the cowled figures standing near him fall silent. Greetings, friend. A slow smile forms in his eyes. I've heard of you. Word has it you're busy in Defiance Bay. He draws closer. I'm busy too, and eager to finish my business and get back to the city. What business is that? Haven't you heard? There's a murderer on the loose. Said to have gone mad with grief and strangled a dozen healthy children when Roan was hollow-born. He nods at the figures with him. You've come all the way from Defiance Bay to bring her justice. So why are you standing around here? He nods across the river. She's hiding out in the village. We go after her ourselves, but the problem is she knows our faces. There's no telling what she'd do if she saw us coming. We'd like to avoid further unnecessary bloodshed. He leans closer. Her name's Nifra. She's in Orlin. We want to get her out of town so we can deal with her cleanly. She knows we're looking for her. But if someone were to convince her that it's safe to leave... She's a mass murderer. Why didn't the Duke send the Crucible Knights after her? A look of distaste flickers across his face. It's quick, but we catch it. The powers that be want things kept quiet for obvious reasons. Better not to cause a fuss, and certainly better not to startle her into doing something drastic. I could draw her out. She won't know you. It'll be simple. Remind me who I'm looking for? An Orlin woman named Nifra. There aren't too many Orlins around here. What did she do? She was responsible for the murder of all those babies in Defiance Bay, remember? Terrible thing, but we'll make her pay, all right. Really? Well, you're the first person to talk to me in an RPG, so you're probably lying. Only the second person you talk to can ever tell the truth. Talk to Bayadmar. No one trusts me with anything more than lighting candles. The old man turns as we enter. His face is covered in bruises and his lower lip is swollen. Out with you. I already told you what... He stops and peers at us, squinting through a black eye. I'm sorry, I thought you were one of those ruffians. Adair grunts in disgust. These times we live in. Someone has put this priest to the test, but one not nearly difficult enough by my measure. An amateur's work. Looks like someone's beaten us here. He gives us something between a smile and a wince. How may I help you? What happened to you? This is a temple of Bareth. What can you tell me about Bareth? Bareth is the most universal of the gods. It oversees portals and cycles of all kinds, even life and death itself. Under Bareth, an ending is merely a passage to another beginning. Bareth has many representations across time and culture. Around the Deerwood, you commonly see it depicted as the Pallid Knight or the Usher. Yep. The Glenfathans, however, know it as Bunin Yanku and Ankui Bunin. I've never heard of Bunin Yanku and Ankui Bunin. It means life in death and death in life, respectively. You see them as two skeletal figures, one male and one female. Explorers have found them carved opposite one another in doorways, but I know of no particular legends that speak of them. Who's the Usher? Kith have written stories, songs, and poems about the Usher for centuries. Sometimes he's folk, sometimes dwarf, and sometimes merely a walking skeleton. He never speaks, but he guides the way to death, the next life. He also creates the circumstances for the wayward to stumble into their own graves. Tell me about the Pallid Knight. She's one of the youngest manifestations of Bareth, but a familiar one nonetheless. Stories describe her as a gaunt knight in black armor with black eyes, black hair, and milk-pale skin. She demands an impossible toll from travelers who've tarried too long on her lord's road. Some challenge her only to slay themselves in the process. Of course, Bareth was once more widely worshipped in this area, but it is a silent god. He smiles sadly. These days, people find themselves in need of clearer answers. He nods politely. Is there something else I can help you with? Tell me about Deerford. Folks here tend to keep to themselves, as they do in most towns this deep in the Deerwood. They're suspicious of travelers, but with all the brigands and refugees moving through the area, who can blame them? Can you tell me where to find the ruins? The old priest tugs on his beard and frowns. The Glenfathan tribe that guards the ruins will kill anyone who trespasses there, and they'll retaliate against us too if history is any indication. We've had too many fortune seekers stir up trouble of late. If I'm to tell you, I'll need to know your reason for wanting to go. He folds his arms and stares at us with a one-eyed scowl. So this is where I say, go into the ruins and I'll kill you, and that's when you say, hey Ravius, I'm a watcher and you're no match for all of us, and we've got good reason for this. And then I try and argue with you, and you leave to dig up your own trespasser's grave. And I'm only being half metaphoric. We sometimes make Deerwoodens dig your own grave before we kill you. When the kids hear about it, it's a fabulous deterrent. A dangerous plot is unfolding there. I've got to stop it. A weary sigh wheezes out of his throat. If that's the case, we may already have trouble headed our way. I'll have to take you at your word. He pulls out a faded map and points to a spot in the woods. You'll find Shliaban Rilag there. Whatever trouble you find there, please end it quietly, and try to stay out of the ruins. What happened to you? He hobbles over to the filmy window. I never saw their faces, strange hooded men asking about those ruins, Shliaban Rilag. He peers through the dirty glass. Most of the brigands who come through here asking about the ruins are looking for a few ancient trinkets, but these people knew the name. They were in a hurry. They wanted to know where Shliaban Rilag was. I tried to keep it from them, but he carefully probes a patch of blue skin around his cheekbone. Couldn't hold out forever. He limps away from the window, shaking his head. I don't know what they were up to, but it can't be good. Hoff looks at us, frowning. That does sound like the leaden key, doesn't it? Yeah, like a blunt fucking instrument, like not really all that subtle for an ancient secret society. Hoff looks at us with quiet attentiveness. How may I be of service? So, now you understand a little bit more about Izilmir. He wrinkles his nose. No thanks to that animancer. My spleen, black bile, come on. Belasega's methods were flawed, but you still learned something, didn't you? Only because you and I have a lick of good sense between us, but the average person, show them a shiny gadget in the hands of an expert and they'll believe anything. That's true, people are too easily led. Perhaps animancy has its uses, but it's hard to say whether those outweigh the dangers. I don't know. I think you'd be more pleasant without your spleen. He sneers. Oh, hilarious. We should have had her take a look at you. I wonder what she'd like to remove then. Why'd you want to remove Belasega's notes? Like I said, I don't appreciate her prying. About your parents. He looks at us cautiously. Why was your mother gone so often? She was invited to join a hemnig with a Lantain when I was very young. His estate was a 5-day ride from our home in the Scythewoods, so that was part of it. He gives us the smallest of frowns. The real issue, though, was my father. Despite his initial agreement with the arrangement, father was never happy with it. He would hound and harangue my mother when she was home. He wanted to know whether she was intimate with the Thane, and no matter how many times she swore she wasn't, it was never enough. As you can imagine, that led to her coming home much less often, even though she still supported us financially. I'm sure she was trying to take care of you in her own way. I believe so. She had an important role managing the Lord Thane's dominion lands and administrative duties, and even though she was away, she provided well for us. What's a hemnig? A ceremonial marriage between folk and elf. Because the Adir mainland has historically split between the two races, we have many institutions that are designed to normalize relations. Our monarchy is headed by folk, but an elven consort rules alongside the reigning Fairkönig or Mequin. This is the most prominent example of a hemnig. In many cases, a hemnig allows two households to pool resources. Among the aristocracy, hemnigs consolidate power. Sometimes, as in my mother's case, a hemnig is meant for a noble to add another administrator to his or her household. Consorts are received with almost the same level of respect as their noble counterparts, which can be extremely useful. Of course, hemnigs are sometimes used to sanitize an extramarital affair. He shrugs. I don't know if there's really any better, but it seems to satisfy common notions of decency, and elfin folk unions are sterile, which no doubt eases some concerns. It sounds like your father had a problem with his temper. He had a problem with my mother's hemnig. Even though they agreed upon it long ago that the financial benefits would be considerable, that it was little different from his role as the Earl's steward, it aided him. And so he drank and raged. When she was home, he raged at her, and when she wasn't, he raged at me. More than anything, he wanted to become an arcane knight in the service of the Earl. I think he would have felt it would validate his chosen career and master. He was a firm man, as you saw. But in the end, I became a successful wizard, due in no small part to his strictures. Nonsense. You accomplished that on your own, and you would have been fine without him pushing you. Are you so certain? I didn't know what I wanted from my life then. I surely wouldn't have been so focused without a little direction. That's all I really wanted to know. He looks relieved. But anything new to say? No. Of course, Hirabius will have a bunch to say. Untouched as his conversations are. A word, traveler. I only require a moment. House Harrond Guard, Defiance Bay positive 3. The guard sighs with relief as he looks at us. What are the odds? Stuck in this backwater only to meet the famed champion of Defiance Bay. Barrett's wheel brings mercy today indeed. His demeanor grows serious. Perhaps you could help. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. Who is she? Lady Alis, he bites his lip. She's the daughter of Lord Nestor Harrond, and she's gone missing, he sighs. Perhaps you go speak with Lord Harrond at the inn. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and could be the villagers will open up to you more than they have to us. Blood Legacy. It's a place. There's some gems sitting in the mill output. Can't remember the last time we had a healthy birth in this village. You've been to Defiance Bay? I hear there's no Hollowborn there. I think there are. Before I knew it, the Stilgar was on top of me and I was face down in the dirt. Arrow to the throat, that stops him. What? No, I was spirit shifted and she was in heat, so I aimed for the throat, but not with an arrow. Horny. Horny. Horny! To jail! Uh-oh. We stole. I refuse to have my reputation sullied. Damn Galawain for monsters like that, and damn the rest of the gods too. Man paces angrily in front of a wrecked animal pen, his sun-weathered face twisted with ire. He's so wrapped up in his fury that he doesn't seem to notice us. Galawain's slobbering beasts, blazing bloody effigy, thrice-damned salty wench and her soggy. Probably not the best way to pray the gods. Fat lot of good they've done for me. Just look at this mess. My pen ruined and all but a few measly runts gone. Calm down and tell me what happened. He bites his lip and closes his eyes. His nostrils flare with each quick, angry breath. Wife's always telling me to mind my temper. Just breathe deep and count to 10, he sighs. An ogre moved into the area not long ago. Folks have been seeing glimpses and tracks out in the woods, but it seemed to be staying away from town. Or so we all thought until it made off with my pigs. Now everyone's afraid it's going to develop a taste for kith. It hasn't already. Tell me how I can help. I know it's too late to get my pigs back, but it'd set my mind at ease to see that thing's head shorn from its neck. In fact, you bring its ugly pate to me and I'll trade you something that's of less use to a farmer like me than a rowdy-looking sword like yourself. What do you know about the ogre? It's the same as any other, I'm sure. A big, ugly son of a bitch with a nasty temper and an appetite to match. Trigal could tell you more. He claims to have seen it in the wood. You could find him in the shop, right by the broken tower. He waves a hand. But it's got to be tiny compared to the sorts of beasts you see up in the living lands. I've been sent to find an Orland named Nifra. Know where she is? Never heard of her. There's an ogre around. Oh, stealing again. You must have seen something. Villagers? Oh, there's another NPC companion here. The grieving mother. The woman looks briefly through us, as if she doesn't know that we're here. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separate stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile behind her, stripping the heads off the long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet us as we approach. We aren't sure she even knows we're here. Excuse me. She doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard us. Study her. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet we suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving, and now the vegetable pots are missing. She still pays us no mind, her brown locks torn and snagging from the lack of washing, like many of the townsfolk we've seen. There's a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with the threads that lack color, in a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she's half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As we watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence. We have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what our eyes are showing us. Focus on her. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As we follow her streams of her locks downwards, her hair has become long and black, splitting into threads of black and silver, and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of us, each finger long and sharp like the series of knitting needles. Almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. and suddenly we are calm. We are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky. Beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest, hazy with mist, although whether it is an actual mist, or distance, or a recollection. Resting in the curve of the natural arch above us is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on us and the event unfolding before us. The plateau is soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath us is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around us. We feel different, not disembodied, but we feel our body, our physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And we hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning us gently forth, filling our senses and thoughts like mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber. And the chime coaxes us deeper into memory, and we're certain it is a memory, a warm one. We are on the stone of the plateau, our knees on the warm texture on the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. We can feel the heat on our skin, our wrists, and our hands. Our hands are in motion, weaving not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Bareth's wheel. Our hands are wet. Our hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and we can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in our grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. The hands we are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times. They are practiced and confident. We can feel distant pains in our own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's labored breathing, crying out. Focus on the child and the movement of our hands. As our hands move, we hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting up through the haze of memory. We cannot see where they're coming from, but they're close. They're meant as a comfort. Of that we are certain. Draw the child forth, and coaxed by our hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, our hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft, wet rope, no, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before us. We are holding a small child, still wet from the womb, before us. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edge, as if we are viewing a soul, from within a soul. But it is there, it is alive. The woman before us is weeping at her child, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. We surrender the child to her, something we've done many times before, and as our hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and we realize the chimes are hanging from cords on our wrists. And where they once were echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of our wrists. We are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here. The child is safe. And all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. Slowly pull back, retreating from the memory. With effort, the scene bleeds of color and our mind becomes our own again. There is no pull, no anchor, yet the sound of the chime remains. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well. They are hanging from woven braids on the wrists of the woman before us. Even as our head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes at her wrists is sharp and clear, as if coaxing us back to the real world. The woman still sits before us, but she is nothing like what we first saw. She is wearing black shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. She lifts her head to face us. We see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What we first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and we realize that what we see now is not what the world sees, and that we are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, we don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, we feel a sense of relief from the figure. We can hear her thoughts, and she is glad at last to be seen. What was that? I am seen, and the eyes of others do not remember. Sorry, I thought I muted that. I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You are the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside. There is a light touch on our mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between us. We hear the chime on her wrist sound softly. Her hand moves as if pantomiming, resting on our cheek at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly. Your memory is a cadence of wheels on a caravan track, fever, questions by running water. She swallows and the chime sounds as her hand shakes. Violence at a night's campfire, arrows in the dark, and fleeing, falling rock and cracking stone, and a storm. She stops, her hand frozen in the air. The storm. The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? The question seems to be for both of you. The memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It is also like a child, many children crying out. I encountered a Beowick, and yes, it did something to me. Her hand withdraws shyly, the chimes sounding softly once again. The woman stands uncertainly as if she's been sitting for some time or is too weak to bear her own weight. We notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt, and while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before us. You are able to see me. It is almost a question. We suddenly realize that she doesn't seem to know what she saw when she looked at her. The image that doesn't know what we saw when we looked at her, the image on the plateau. Yet the image was so clear, so sharp, you're surprised she didn't feel you there. To see me is a rare gift, a watcher's gift. It felt like a pathway between our minds, but strange, gentle. So many questions, thoughts, whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine. There is a silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat in our thoughts, it stretches out between the two of us like a pull between our minds. We blink, take a breath, and then we realize that she wants to ask us a question yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there are simply not enough pieces. Assemble the thought. Do you wish to travel with me? We feel a wave of fear gusted with the strength of relief, and oddly, her expression does not change. Then fear dissipates and we feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from her memory lies beneath us and a calm sky looks down upon us. We may have to get rid of Adair at some point, just so we can keep up with the team. I'd love to have the Grieving Mother permanently. Aloth is like almost done, but he's not done for whatever reason. Hopefully by being sarcastic that time we didn't ruin our ability to progress this quest line. A trap. I'm not stealing. I would never steal. Not my way. I'll just take your trap and move on, this noxious burst trap. Potions for sale, potions and oh. Young woman leans against a wagon, one arm and one side of her face are covered in bandages with raw, rippled flesh showing underneath. A minty, tangy scent wafts from her dressing. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town? I'm about dry on some of my stocks, but you're welcome to have a look-see. How'd you get burned? She turns her face to the ground. By the flame, how bad does it look? Just say it. I know you'll tell me straight. Relax, it's not that bad. I know what kind nothing when I hear it, but thanks. I've been keeping an eye on the Drake's Nest east of town at Deerford Crossing. The beast stayed just long enough to lay a clutch and moved on. Thank the Sky Mother it wasn't a full-grown dragon. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in nests for weeks or more. That clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought maybe I'd see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched. The young worms were so territorial. What's so special about these eggs? Her eyes widen in wonder. I thought an educated sort like you would know for sure. They're one of the strongest tonics known to Kith. If you leave out Carol Golan, of course. Not saying anyone should take that. But dragon eggs are known to make Kith bold, purposeful. Some even think they'll protect from Beowicks. She shrugs. All I know is everyone's pining after potions made from dragon eggs. But the damn roads. Can't reach none of my suppliers, so I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up from the wood. Deer cab, river reed, and the like. I could get an egg for you. She keeps her gaze steady, but we see hope kindling in her eyes and twitching in the corners of her mouth. I sure hope you're not leading me on. I don't think I could stand getting burned again. She bites her lip. If you really mean to go after it, I'd certainly pay you. Just remember, big as they are, dragon eggs are fragile. There's a lot more I can do with a whole one. She adjusts one of her bandages. Anything I can do for you? I got some handy ointments if you're braving the roads anytime soon. What's wrong with the roads? Noise of disgust rattles from her throat. Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods must be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that are rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay because they hear there's healthy births there, and all those refugees in abandoned homes attract desperate sorts like flies on dog shit. Looking for an orphan named Nifra. I did see an orphan lady heading into the Dracogen just the other day. She points across the road at a large building. Don't know what her name was, but she was acting real sneaky-like. Tell me again about the dragon egg. Place was crawling with worms. Show me your wares. Sure thing. She sells pearls. And no rubies, though. And I don't think any of that particular... Trigo's Curity. Oops, was that theft? No? Okay. She's been missing for days. You people can't keep stonewalling us. Inethel Sylviar. The smell around here reminds me of this stable hand Drummond. Not real popular with the women, Drummond. Bandulac. Why can't we go there? Oh, we have to go through Deerford Crossing, I see. We got a lot of business to take care of in this town first, I think, before we can leave. Or at least one large piece of business. One substantial transaction. Who wants to bet the Orlan is totally innocent? Sid. A redhead stands by the fire, tuning her lute and plucking its strings. She hums snatches of a melody as she goes. First time at the Dracogen? Normally I'd have a song ready, but I haven't quite worked out this tune yet. I'm writing some chants about the founding of this inn. Say, you interested in this story? Haven't finished the chants, but I can tell you about it all the same. Sure, it was built in the time of Hadrit's Rebellion, and Adiran Lady Tainu was said to have once had a keep here. One of the towers still stands, but the rest is said to be buried under the village. Anyway, she stuck it on the side of the Empire, and a contingent of She stuck to the side of the Empire, and a contingent of Duke Hadrit's Knights of the Crucible helped the farmers and colonists in the area turn her keep to rubble. This inn was the first building that sprang up from the ruin, built with some of the same bricks the colonists had pulled from the Lady Thainu's castle, they say. Supposedly, the quarterstaff of her chief wizard even got lost in the construction, mortared into a wall or nailed under a floorboard. Anyways, the inn was supposed to be a haven and a meeting place while the locals built their new town. What's a Lady Thainu? A Thane or Thainu is a man or woman who's part of the military elite. A knight, if you will, typically an inherited position. A Lord Thane or Lady Thainu owns land and also commands several unlanded Thanes. The woman who's last held this keep here came from a long line of landed Thanes. What do you mean supposed to be? Deerwoodens are an ornery lot, and the more this new neighbors met, the more they argued. They realized they didn't agree on much besides ousting the old lord. The biggest divide was over the Glenfathans and their nearby ruins. Hadrit's Knights and their supporters wanted to keep the peace, but a group of misfits with more anarchistic leanings that had formed in town wanted to go after the tribes in the same way they'd gone after their lord. Soon the villagers were fighting with each other as much as with the Adirans. In the end, memories of the Broken Stone War and the War of the Black Trees were fresh enough that the Duke's soldiers won the day. Most of the other villagers came around eventually, but some of the core troublemakers left to join the front lines in the War of Defiance, and others, I've heard, found their way to the Guided Compass, the most forward-looking part of the Glenfathan tribes. I don't know if I believe that part myself, but it makes a good story. She points to the east wall. There's a portrait of one of the chief rabble-rousers and his rival of the peacekeeping faction. Someone's idea of a joke. I don't think they'd be particularly amused. I want to hear more about the Broken Stone War. That was the first major conflict between the original Adiran settlers and the Glenfathans. Happened 3 years into colonization when some farmers knocked over an Adra here that was part of an Ingwithan ruin. The war didn't last long, but it spread quickly and claimed thousands. In the early weeks, most of the colonists didn't even realize there was a war going on until the Glenfathan raiders hit their villages. There had been small, spontaneous skirmishes between the colonists and the locals before then, but this was organized, and it was the start of decades of violence between the colonists and the Glenfathans. As you can see, Deerwood's full of history, even in little villages like this. Tell me more about the War of the Black Trees. It started back in the colonial days, almost 30 years after the Broken Stone War. Even though isolated conflicts still broke out, peace between the settlers and the Glenfathans, both sides had officially agreed to peace. Edrang Hadred, Admeth's father, was Gref at the time. As part of peace negotiations, he signed treaties prohibiting Adiran colonists from looting Engwithan ruins. However, he'd been able to outlaw the use of captured Glenfathans as slaves. What's a Gref? A Gref is a governor of a colony and is subservient to the Adiran emperor. The early leaders of the Adir colony were in the Deerwood, including Edrang and Admeth Hadred, were Grefs. At the start of the War of Defiance, Admeth Hadred declared himself Duke of an independent Deerwood rather than Gref of the Emperor's colony. It was the same term used for leaders of the newly independent Valian republics. Anyway, we haven't had a Gref since. See. Indeed, the taking of Glenfathan slaves had continued to be a source of conflict. It came to a head when the Imperial agents, aided by certain earls in the Deerwood, began looting ruins again. See, the Empire never actually agreed to Hadred's treaties in the matter, and the recent secession of the Valian republics likely left them eager to weaken Hadred's position. The looting sparked a brutal slave uprising and a guerrilla campaign among the Glenfathans. Edrang Hadred was too old to lead forces into battle, so he sent his son, Admeth. Admeth made a costly but effective decision that ended the war faster than anyone could have imagined. He burned the forest near Ishian River to keep the Glenfathan war bands from retreating. Thousands of Glenfathans died, and as Admeth repeated his scorched earth tactics in the following months, he wore down the remainder of their forces. To this day, 150 years later, there are still sections of the Deerwood where the trees are nothing but bare, charred trunks. Been waiting to get that history for a long time. Eorn. Why, it's you. Thank you, friend. You've given me another chance, and I mean to make the most of it. I've been telling everyone around here how much you helped me. This is the guy we saved from the sewers, I think. Thank you again. Deerford may be a quiet place, but I find that's growing on me. You not talk to Dangler? Hello, Dangler. The innkeeper digs inside the mug with a dirty rag. His eyes under his thick brows are tired but watchful. He gives us a quick nod as we approach the bar. Don't see many travelers these days. Something I can do for you. What was your exchange with that nobleman about? He looks up from polishing his tankard and glowers at the lord. Folks round here's decent. They mind their business. You want to stick your nose in it, go talk to him yourself. I had questions about Deerford. He runs a rag around there with his glass. Ask. Seen Nifri? Twitches his head to the stairs. Jerks his head to the stairs. Twitchy lady, that one. Tell me about the village. Walk from one bridge to the next and you've seen it. We're quiet, all working folk. We keep to ourselves and don't like to being pushed around. He glares at the well-dressed man standing off to the side. Used to be a castle here, built by some family of Adiran Thanes back when the Empire first came. Only the one tower is still standing, and that's part of Treagle's shop now. Sid, that bar by the fire, could spin you the yarn of it if you're so inclined. He lives in Deerford. Not many anymore. Hard to keep people around when everyone's here's birthing hollow-born. We got a few who stick around and do business. Treagle's the leather courier, and Dina crafts potions, and Wimthrift trades in general goods. Rumbald's a pig farmer, or was anyway. About Trigger, he's a courier, treats leather and makes armor and a few other goods with it. Problem is the smell of tallow and deer shit tends to put people off their food, and his shop's right next door. What's Andrina's story? Ladies are clever around with potions and poultices. Got herself into trouble with a nest of worms, or so I hear. Her cart's on the east end of town. And Winfrith? Been around even longer than I have. Nice enough fellow, but never could find his way to the end of his sentence. His shop's across the square. Nothing happened to Rumbald's pigs, I take it. Damn ogre carried him off. Now he squeals more than his herd ever did. He shrugs. It is rotten luck. Let's go back to my previous question about Deerford. Said you don't see many travelers. Of course not, boy. They come here. We got bandits on the road and an ogre in the forest, and that yapping fool Rumbald will tell you. Worse yet, there's been an healthy child born here in over a year. Most kith has come just passing through. About that ogre, you don't hardly see him this close to town. Ogres and kiths don't move well. Ugly bastards, but they're smart enough to know that much. You want to know more, talk to Rumbald. He's farm southwest of here. Never mind, I got more to ask. Nothing else to say. Zoop. Zoop. Who's coming up the stairs? Nifra. The Orland hovers by the window and hovers, peering out of it every few seconds. As we enter the room, she watches us carefully, her hand hovering over her stiletto. She cranes her head to peer behind us. Anyone follow you? Who sent you? Someone told me you were responsible for heinous killings in Defiance Bay. Let me guess, was that someone named Madreth? She draws her stiletto. It's a lie, plain and simple. Got on the wrong side of his employers and now he's after me. But if you're here to do his dirty work, I won't make it easy on you. Relax, I just wanted to hear your side of the story. What story? The Duminals came after me. I just happened to rob the wrong place. How was I supposed to know they'd already claimed it? She runs her hands under her hood and through her hair. It was an honest mistake. I'm just trying to survive now. And if you spoke with Madreth, you know he's waiting. Please, help me get out of here. Go east. Madreth's waiting for you just west of the river. She nods slowly. All right, I'm trusting you. Don't have much choice. See if you can send him the other way. That should buy me some more time. She follows the hooded figures toward the stairs, giving us a final uncertain glance as she passes through the door. Yeah, the Dominals are like the merchant, asshole merchants in the town. Is this the staff? The wizard staff? Guildmaster's staff? It's just a smashing weapon. That would be stealing. Give it here. Hand it over. Where's the nobleman? Isn't he up here? Oh, there he is, Lord Harrond. The man wears a deer-styled robe, simple but elegant. His fine leather shoes look like they were made for padding around indoors, yet they're caked with mud. He yanks at a lock of hair twined around his silk-gloved finger. His fine features are etched with anxiety. My child is out there. Do they not understand? My lord, we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, these villagers... He jerks a few strands from his head. Beasts, take them all. I don't care how you do it, but find her. I heard you arguing with the innkeeper. A petty, small-minded man, just like the rest of them around here. I've been paying him an honest fee for room, for board and bed, and yet he can't be bothered to stir himself to concern for my Alis. Actually, he seemed angry at you. People from these backwater villages take offense for sport. You have but to show up with a full coin purse and they'll hear insults in the jingle of your step. They forget that Duke Hadrid came from the privileged classes and did all the other earls and lords who financed the rebellion they're so proud of. I've asked around, but nobody in this mudhole has any concerns beyond their swine. They turned my men away like beggars and seemed downright pleased to be of no use. But you're not one of my soldiers, and you look like you're used to getting your hands dirty if you don't mind my saying so. My lord, Harrond raises a hand to silence the man. If you find her, nibbles his thumb of one silk glove, tell her I won't be upset with her. She can come back and all will be well. I just want to make sure my Aelis, my child, is safe. Nothing in this world is more important to me. I'd like to ask you a few more questions about your daughter. Aelis, he blinks and licks his lips. Of course. Describe Aelis. She's a striking young woman, bears more resemblance to her mother than to me. She has auburn hair and delicate, well-bred features. She must be, 28 or 29 now. Describe her disappearance. We'd stopped in Deerford for a few days. On our fourth evening here, I was making plans to continue our journey. Lady Aelis was feeling unwell and went to bed. When I retired a couple hours later, I found that she'd vanished. None of my men had seen her go, and no one at the inn seemed to know where she was. Since then, my people have been combing the village, but we've yet to find a clue, and the locals have been no help. Why did you and Aelis come to Deerford? It was merely a stop along the way to Ina's Rest. However, she took ill shortly before our arrival, so it seemed prudent to allow her a few days to recover. What's in Ina's Rest? He frowns as if about to protest, but gives in with a sigh. Lady Aelis has reached an age where it is prudent for her to marry. Given this legacy business, I can't let her fertile years slip by, nor do I want her womb to fester in the presence of so many hollowborn. It would seem that there are more potential suitors in New Haemar or New Yarma. You think I hadn't considered that? Arranging a suitable match is difficult. The best prospects for my child lay in Ina's Rest. There are better roads along the coast. Wouldn't it have been easier to follow them than Ina's Rest? If I thought that, I wouldn't be slogging through the forest, would I? He waves a hand. The main roads are clogged with people fleeing one way or another to try and escape Widewind's legacy. It would be difficult for a caravan like mine to pass without incident. At the time, it seemed prudent to move quietly along the back roads. Where's the rest of your family? Sure they wouldn't want to miss out on your daughter's betrothal. Lady Harrond is ill-suited for travel, I'm afraid, and unfortunately, Aelis has few other close relatives. My sister and her husband, Aelis's aunt and uncle, of course, have been visiting Adir these past months. He rubs his knuckles. As for siblings, Aelis has none. My wife has only given birth to Hollowborn, since Aelis, that is. I see. But going back to your daughter, the timeline on that seems wrong. Aren't the Hollowborn just 10 years or so, or 15 years tops? They wait until their daughter was 15 to try and have a second? There's noble people? That seems wrong. Previous questions. Tell me about yourself. I'm Lord Nestor Harrond of Defiance Bay. My family has been prominent there since Imperial times. Our primary estate is on the outskirts of Brackenbury, but we have holdings in New Haemar as well. Those went to my sister and her husband. I guess we search. Tell me about Lord Harrond's daughter. He frowns and shrugs. His lordship said she went missing the other day. He wipes a tankard with his ragged towel, twisting it in swift, jerking motions. I don't know more than that. However these lordling bastards handle their affairs ain't no more business of mine. You look agitated. Something about this doesn't sit right with you, does it? You're damn right it doesn't. That lord saunters in here like he's cut from cleaner cloth than the rest of us. He shakes his head. Look, I don't want no trouble from him or you or anybody else. I'm just waiting for him to tire of my ale and leave so things can get back to normal around here. I won't stand by and allow an innocent girl come to harm. Help me find her. He leans on the bar and sighs. That girl, Aelis. She was looking to disappear. You should have seen her watching the door only like a sheep to a slaughter. All the same, she didn't hardly speak to no one. Only folk I've seen her talk to is Triggle. He nods to the east window. His shop's by the broken tower. Bit of a hothead, that one. My advice is to let the matter drop. Like I say, it don't profit to dig around in other people's business. I would prefer not to have to. To the waterline. We'll get a diving helmet. Send out Mr. W. Or actually, we can send out the grieving mother now if we wanted. Nah, let's send out W. Quest added Blood Legacy. And this gash here is from when I woke up with a pack alpha trying to eat me. Fair, mauled by a bear 7 years ago. Oh yeah, and here, this bull had me properly hooked on its horns. Things got worse. Where is this pawnbroker of yours? Winfrith, this Triggles, okay. You can't find it anywhere. A key. Courier's key. Key is stained by the dye in which we found it. We'll talk about this later. Get back to the dyes. I'll take care of our customer. Stay out of my private quarters. That goes for you and Heron's bootlickers. Triggle. A sturdy, broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same foul compounds wafting from the vats, and his arms are stained with dye. What can you tell me about Aelis Harrond? He shrugs. Only that her father's men have been banging down doors and stirring up trouble looking for her. I never met him myself. Myself. That's strange. Dangler told me you two were acquainted. He watches us and smiles slowly. He doesn't miss much. What exactly did he tell you? He said she was looking for an escape. Her father's dragged her out here to get hitched to some backwoods noble. She wanted an escape, all right, and I was happy to give it to her. We snuck across the river a few nights ago for some private time. Come to find out, we weren't exactly alone. An ogre taller than Winfrith's tail sprung out of the forest, and we were so lost in the heat of the moment we didn't notice it until it was upon us. It grabbed Aelis and disappeared into the night before I could even pull my britches up. Don't take this the wrong way, but this shop smells like an outhouse. Am I really to believe that a lord's daughter snuck into the woods with you? Curb that clever tongue of yours. I'm afraid there's no right way to take that, stranger. I meant no offense, just trying to find what happened to her. His eyes narrow. As I was saying, the ogre vanished with her, probably took her to his lair, wherever that is. He measures us with his gaze. She could still be alive. I'm in no shape to go after her, but that Heron looks like he'll have the coppers to spare for anyone who found her. He scratches his cheek with fingers stained red and yellow. Others around here have seen the ogre east of town, took most of Rumbald's pigs just the other day. If someone were to find it, there'd be a lot of grateful people in Deerford. What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed. Nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. Few hides on stretching racks, and that tallow stench Dangler's always grumbling about. The rest of it keeps dust, just like the fool lady Thanu who tried to hold it. There's a bard at the inn who'll tell you the whole blazing story if you want to hear it. Rumbold mentioned something about an ogre. He's hardly talked about anything else since those pigs of his went missing. The whole town's been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing its growl and their snoring of their mates. It'd put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collect ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen tracks east of here near the river that could have been anything else. What do you got for sale? Second chance, minus 27% crit damage taken. That's kind of cool. Should we hold on to the dagger? Let's sell the dagger. Goodbye, dagger. Oh, sell the Ring of Eternal Funding as well. Inexplicable ring. Hand and key. What does Arcane Dampener do? Blood Legacy. So he wants us to go fuck with the ogre about this. He is blaming the ogre. Which, sure, maybe. Why don't we play along? Greek. Wood beetle. $53 pierce damage. Whew. No joke. Knock that spoiling down. We did it. We did it. Like 4 now? 5. That's coming fast. Plenty fast. Berth's Bell. Wolves! I mean rats. Secret. Here. Proned him. Jaw rips. Feet. Examine the statue. Long grooves suggest it could be moved. A skull carved in the stone. Use a hammer and chisel to gouge a hole near the statue. Wedge your pry bar under the statue and move it. A passage deep into the earth. Nice. Do we need to use those, or could we just have pushed it? The air smells of blood and cowardly loathing. I'll be the effigy is in some nest for the quiet slave, skulking vermin. The quiet slave being Skaen, who's like a fucked up representation of rebellion. That's interesting. I didn't realize that was over here. We'll go in there later. We'll go in there soon. Secret chest. Ring of deflection plus 9. How about that for our boy? Our Lady of Small Melee. Find the cave. Ah! Uh-oh. What are you doing? The team is taking damage. The team, relax yourselves. Distant relative continually leaving the stronghold. Come on, everybody, keep moving. Webs! Garnet. More spiders. We need to find something bigger than this. Something that will last long enough to be knocked down. There we go, got a knockdown. Devastating. I'm going to guess whoever lives here is very, very hungry. Could be worse. There could be more bones. The sad thing is that as we advance into the darkness, the ground begins to tremble. We hear plodding footfalls, growling breaths, and bone-snapping crunches. An ogre steps out of the shadows, 10 feet tall and bulging with muscle. He tears a mouthful of a hoofed, pink-fleshed limb and tosses it aside. He watches us from under the thick ridges of his brows. Too well equipped to be a villager. A bandit from the road, then. Must be. He snorts and tightens his grip around a club. I've kept to myself, killed no one but the reckless fools enough to chase me down here. Why have you come looking for me? Looking for a young elven noblewoman. She's gone missing. Korgrak's snarl reveals a row of large, stained teeth. I've done my best to avoid kith, especially the kind that might give rise to search parties. She never came here. Of that I'm sure. They'll have to look elsewhere. A farmer from Deerford claims you ate his pigs. He rams a fist into the wall and roars. Then I should have eaten the blazing farmer. I underestimate the love these villagers have for their swine. Calm down, perhaps you can tell me something else. If you're just minding your own business, how'd all these bones get here? He grinds his teeth with impatience. Spiders got most of them. The rest blundered in here looking for trouble. What are you doing in this cave, hiding from your kind? He scratches the tusk, glaring at us. Kith driven from their homes by strange storms, bandits out for blood and coin. My kind is unsafe around Kith at the best of times, but now tempers run hot, and ogre blood is valued among your alchemists. I see you're favoring your leg. Weakened. Intellect 18. The only reason you'd hole up in a spider-infested cave is if you really feared something out there. He smashes his club into the ground. I told you, the Kith on the road these days hunger for anything they can eat or sell. I wouldn't last a week wandering the open, not by myself. Clutches his club with both hands and draws it closer. And you seem sensible enough to understand that now you've found me, I can't let you leave. You need to stay in this miserable cave. I'm sure a big, strong ogre like you wouldn't have no problem out in the wood. This place isn't safe. Even if you kill me, it's only a matter of time before someone else finds you. He grits his teeth and glares at us, his eyes hard and narrow with rage. Gorgrak takes several heaving breaths, seemingly ready to charge at any second, then drops his club. That's what I was afraid of, he sighs, blasting us with his fetid breath. Time to move on, then. I have a stronghold in Chadnua. Help me defend it, and you can stay as long as you like. Sell my services for the shelter of a fortress? Sounds like another kind of trouble, but perhaps one I can handle. Begins shuffling back into the shadows. If you need me, you know where to find me. I'll leave Deerfoot alone for now. These bone piles look the sort of mess I leave whenever I camp in one place for too long. I should probably eat more vegetables. Someone's a messy eater. We may have an understanding, but I promise nothing for anyone else who wanders in here. Yeah. Nor should you. Spider Queen! Spider Queen! Knock her over! What's she immune to? Maybe the poison portion of the damage on this thing? Da-da. Nice. Deals 700 damage to enemies. Does it have to be to enemies? We can't feed it to our friends? That'd be great if we could just sit here shooting at our friends. Accountant? It is not. Alas. That's fine though. That's like 14 hits or something. It's not bad. What did it gain in being upgraded thus? It's exceptional right now. I'm not sure. It's beast slaying, as you can see. So, the ogre was not up to anything. That means someone's been lying to us. Oh, this is a skull key. The note is blood-stained and torn. The edges are smudged in some kind of pigment. From the scraps that are visible, we can make out hastily written instructions. To avoid the entrance in the tower, traffic through my shop would attract the attention. Deerfoot may be sympathetic to our goals, but they wouldn't approve of a temple. Yet, key to the entrance by the river east of town. But be careful on the road. Reports of these days. What could it be? Skayan cultist robes. Those who plot the destruction of their superiors while keeping an impassive face will whisper a prayer to Skayan. Political rebels also call upon him for injustice, in the hopes that he'll intercede on their behalf with Boudica, with whom he is associated. However, Skaen is an unforgiving deity. If a supplicant tips his hands or acts too rashly, the god will abandon them. The same goes for those who actually achieve their ambitions and rise to a higher station. They can no longer count on Skaen for aid. These robes are comprised of little more than simple undyed cloth, used in the grim rituals of the Skaenite faithful, for they are spattered with patches of blood, both recent and long dried. Yes, Skaen. He is, an interesting figure, a rebellious figure, but his methods are somewhat horrific. There is a darkness in Skaen. Worms, it's Sevis. Hello, Sevis. 54 damage? Yep, it's only going to be like 14 attacks. Damn it, I was going to let Stray finish him. Cannot venture forth while in combat. Oh, forest lurkers. Uh-oh. Forest lurkers and friends. Let's just enchant those Poogras real quick. Both of them, why not? Bunch of people not doing anything right now. Aravius, did we never give you... Oh. He might be using his fists right now. Aravius, you are using your fists. Please use your rod. I know that you know how. I know it's your style. Boots of the Long March, max endurance bonus, plus 15 max endurance, and athletics. Is endurance health, or is endurance... I think endurance is health. No, yes. Endurance is how much you can take in a single encounter. So 15 is not bad. Fighters have huge health pools. Sevis, a man turns to face us wiping blood from his Aztec. His knit brows betray a moment of confusion. He watches us, a slow, confident smile creeps over his face. The Iron Band does not meet many travelers this far from the road. What would they be doing out here? The elven man cocks his head to the other, probably off to that dragon egg, same as us, boss. The dwarf curses and spits into the grass. It's a rhetorical question, you dimwit. He tightens his grip by his sword. Everyone knows the roads between the villages are crawling with brigands. They're obviously bandits, same as us. It's a good thing there's a giant egg nearby. Nothing stirs up my appetite like looting corpses. Let's just kill them. Bandits? Not gonna put up with that. Not sorry about it either. Couple of charms. Ooh. Nest egg. Oh, Okay, we're fine. Hey, we already got it. Caused the stunned affliction 10 times. That's also was nerfed with the mod. Apparently it's like 25 times by default. Still exceptional. It's just got, it gained this chance to cause stun. I wonder if it's got both the chance to prone and stun. Separate chances, that's pretty cool. Egg. Early grappling hope. Climb the rope. Climb it ourselves. Continue. Secure the egg with the rope. We did it. Vrooms. There we go. Now we go to sleep on Relog. We feel so inclined, but we're not ready yet. Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman who can do some damage squeezing her legs together. It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well. She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you? No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore. Where's the farmer? Hey, Rumbald. Any sign of the ogre? I convinced it to leave. You won't be seeing him again. But that's son of an Orlan whore. That thing devoured my entire herd. I wanted it dead, and I wanted to mount its head on a pike. Here, perhaps this will make up for the loss of your pigs. 400 copper. You do that for me? I don't know what to say. Wait right here. He darts to the house and returns with a blunderbuss in hands. I call him the lead spitter. It belonged to my father and served me in the Saints' War. It's old and sturdy, packs a real punch. Should be more useful to someone like yourself these days. Hooray! He crosses his arms and looks at the piglets, and now to get back to the business of rebuilding my herd. If only. He takes one of the pigs and gives it a quick examination. This runt's still looking too small. I don't expect to get any good litters out of it, and I'd just as soon not have to weaken the rest of my stock. Why don't you take it? Gives you one less mouth to feed anyway. We got a piglet. Mighty fine to see you again. Business is looking up thanks to you. To the waterline completed. One is against... Oh, plus 35 defense against dragon breath attacks. Holy shit. Well, that's something that we need to hold on to. Because... fuck those dragon breath attacks. Where did that go? I wonder if just with that we'd be able to, where is it? Is it in W's inventory, do you think? Guess we'll have to go pull out W and see. It doesn't appear to be in Acorn Helm. Our inventory. Let's go find out, because I want to make sure that we have hold of that. Plus 35 defense is enormous. Oh, Gayfald the Drunkard, a local fool, is wanted in the stronghold and will stay a while. I know it looks old and crumbling, but this castle is recent compared to what's built beneath it. Thought we already dealt with the drunkard. Humanely. I don't see him here. You've done it. I felt the change from here. It's as if there was a noise, a voice, underlying every sound in the keep, and I had simply ceased to notice. Silence now almost seems strange. You've done what the earls, their descendants, and hosts of explorers could not. There is nobody left to challenge your claim. You are well and truly master of Chadnua. We have known that from the beginning, of course, but now all the world will know and share my pride in your accomplishments. What is the state of the keep? I have to say, my lord, you've done an impressive job of restoring the keep's defenses. I don't think a mouse could sneak past the walls. On to business. Let's just pay him off, I guess. Yeah, we just made it really fancy. Where is the ogre? There he is. He's very expensive, and he reduces the... Yeah, maybe we won't do that. Maybe we simply won't. Aha! The slaver showed up again. Sorry, so I went back in time, and I made space in my protagonist's inventory, and it still did not cause the item to appear in there. So I don't know where I'm supposed to pick that item up from. Maybe it's around here somewhere? Maybe it's in here. Aha! Here it is. You're holding on to this, please. Constitution +2. Curse of the Menpugra. The modal. Well, let's grab all the other miscellaneous junk. I would have thought, yeah, the cash shows up here as well. Golden Obol, a rare coin even in the Valiant Republics. The Golden Obol is used by the extremely wealthy. How much is 10 Golden Obols? 43,000? 43,000? Not that much. General Goo Merchant. Greetings, my lord. Fancy a new blade or maybe an axe. And I've tinctures as well. I do have a few tinctures. Maybe that hammer and chisel, I just had to use mine. Warhammer, you don't have a ton of interesting stuff, do you? Solmar the Shackler. Let's hear it. Yes, yes. I'd like I want to discuss this with my people. Hiravius, I want you to head down to Jirara and see if you can free these slaves. I would love to. It gives me something to do with my hands while I plot this man's painful death. I need some time looking into the matter. Return to Jirara. And yes, I've decided to hang, and I will send word. Please, Solmar bows slightly and turns to stride out the hall. Okay, let's advance to 5 days now here, so I can just rest for them. Oh shit, an exotic wares merchant showed up. Where is he? I would love to grant him an audience, but where is he? Loaded out and back in, did he show up? There he is. Maybe he was there already and I just wasn't paying attention. Good tidings, my lord. I am Azuro, famed merchant, purveyor of many valuable and rare objects. What have you got? Oh, he's, this one too. It's these bandits, my lord. I'm having trouble filling out my stock. My suppliers say the risk is too great. If I have no goods to sell, I cannot make a living. I'll put an end to this. Yes, my lord, what is it you have planned? 5,000 CP. My name has worth in these parts. I'll personally ensure the delivery and cover all losses that occur. That should allay any fears. Quite a more generous offer these suppliers have never heard, I'll warrant. Thank you. I'll make sure I'll have more goods to offer you in short order, I'm sure of it. Well, not sure what exactly that means, but we didn't need the copper. So, sure, why not? Hiravius successfully freed many slaves. Word is Solmar the Shackler is some... quite furious. Will he come back? Come on back, Solmar. Maybe we have hanged him on the spot? Maybe we should have just hanged him on the spot. Doesn't seem as if he's come back. Alright, well, we'll pull Hiravius back out. Hiravius! Doot, doot. And we'll go back to Deerford Village and tell that guy that the ogre never saw the girl. You've been on your own for 5 years? I've had Ichimonk. But you can't talk to him. We've heard this one before. Korgrak swore he'd never seen Alis. I have this letter about a secret temple. Found the ogre's lair, but there was no sign of Alis. I was hoping it wouldn't come to this. He attacks! Final Journal of Jonas. Tomorrow I become the effigy. Yes, the effigy of Scan. He's got a Scanite text back here. Blood Legacy. It appears we've found ourselves a dungeon. Skaen Bone. Need them stuns. Got any yet? No. Alas. Back on up. Holy shit. It's a party. Oh, it's any stuns that I inflict actually, so I can use this and it counts. Yes, I can. Don't walk onto the traps, please. Stun him. Counted, right? Yes, it did. Crunch. I think we stepped on the trap. Alas. We'll never make it to level 16 now. Never. Never. Scanites? List of names. This creased sheet of paper contains a list of names. Some have been crossed off. Edith. Leaves window open at night. Small house on the edge of Kindle Vale. Eager to. Visiting from Old Valia, doesn't speak Adiran, keeps to himself, won't be missed. Tear-faced. Lives in small encampment on the road to log home. Takes solitary walks each morning to sunrise. At sunrise. Should be most vulnerable then. Belmis. His parents leave him alone after temple services, each gone to Godendag. Sedinless. Visits a mistress in Baelrish for each third false dog. Get him on the road. Check Gilded Vale and Andra's gifts. May find more interested parties there. Yikes, an old dungeon key. Final Journal of Jonas again. The Skaanites just find it so inspiring. inspect the area. Toss my grappling hook across. Don't shimmy across the chasm yet. We've got dudes to slaughter. And stun. Looks like blood, and lots of it. Odd to see this much blood without an equally large number of corpses nearby. Place has the stain of animancy on it. Somebody's stumbling around over there. As we approach the blood pool, the viscous liquid churns and bubbles. We feel essence rising to the surface, reaching out to us, whispering, "Somebody should clean that up." Some strange power seems to be animating the blood. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that whatever it isn't benevolent. A bubbling cauldron of Skain's hateful seed. He may be sniveling and cowardly in his ways, but he has never lacked for focus. Sagani peers the bubbling pool. This is the work of something foul. We should keep moving. Extend our soul. The faint whispers resolve into a cacophony of voices. We imagine ourselves surrounded by 100 men and women. Their naked flesh is scourged and bloody, or skinned and covered with flies. Their eyes are missing, replaced with glittering black stones. Their voices cry out in unison. What's this? Another soul come to rage and burn, or merely to watch? You may be a long time in waiting. Our work today is already finished. You were all sacrificed to Skain, weren't you? A woman's voice replies, "We were sacrificed to the whims and hungers of the rich and powerful. What we gave here, that was our decision." They hover at our soul's edge, feeling us out. Our fury burned within us, unquenching and unfed. But hate can be fashioned into a weapon by those willing to pay the price. In life we were weak, but in death we made a choice. Choice carries power. You can now escape your oppressors and move on. To another life of toil and abuse, not before we exact our revenge. We probe at the boundaries of our soul, exploring our essence. It is a shame there is nothing in you we could use. The souls sink back to the pool. Hold. I would know what you've done here. The pool itself begins to ripple at the sound of dissonant chorus of perverse laughter that rakes at our ears. The lapping blood stirs a large metal cage half submerged in the center of the pool, and it creaks loudly as it rocks back and forth on a rusted pulley, as if in answer to our question. Wait, let me ask you more about this place. The time for questions is over, Watcher. It's still and quiet now. Another trap. And they lock at the door. I fear no door. I pick all locks. Chain lightning trap. Many traps down here. They were expecting visitors, clearly. Tons of experience for all this stuff. Whoa! Don't step on the trap, please. How are we for experience? Or for stuns, rather. 8. Just need 2 more. I wonder if this will count, because it'll kill him and stun him in the same move. Oh, it didn't kill him. There you go. Boiling spray trap. Final Journey of Jonas? Yes. Crypt's Master Key. Don't grab it yet. Better to open them. Scaeanite scripture, burn, make all thy plots in secret. This looks like a trapped room. Yes, it was. Should be the last stun. Maybe? Not sure if it counted there. Oof. We crit. Hideously, we exploded him with our mind. Hey, it counted. 600 more damage. That's less damage than last time. Plus 25% attack speed, minus 25% reload speed, so hopefully that is not bugged and actually works. We could try and get a sense of it here. Seems fast. It doesn't seem slower, which is what the bug would have been if it was still in place. But we should be able to get the 600 damage quite rapidly. Hey. A large bull-necked man in a hood helps a young elven woman down from the glass chamber connected to a dizzying array of cables and machinery. Her skin and clothing glisten with fresh blood. You may feel a little lightheaded for the next hour or two, but that will pass. Have a meal and get some sleep when you return to town. The transfusion, the girl sobs into the back of her hand. The transfusion will be smoothest if you relax and rest. The implanted essence already has a hold on your mind, so fighting it will be useless. He turns on us with a cold glare, and I hope our new visitor does not complicate matters overly. What's going on here? Subversion. The black sheep cousin of justice. Or haven't you heard Lord Heron's tale of woe about a missing daughter and impending marriage? He sent his soldiers to scour the village while he bides his time at the Dracogen Inn. I don't expect you to understand what I'm doing. Neither the rituals of Scaean nor the labors of Animancy meet with much approval in polite society. He takes a lock of the young woman's hair in one large, blood-smeared hand. But unsightliness reminds polite society that there are limits. When no one pays attention to the excesses and debaucheries of a lord, you give something they can't look away from. People around town seem suspicious. Yeah, a few pieces of the tale didn't add up. Did a bit of digging, did you? That's more than can be said for most. He looks to the young woman. Lord Heron's been telling everyone she's his daughter. He brought her all this way just to avoid anyone who might know differently. She's his niece, and she's carrying his child. Pagani's eyes are bright white orbs against her face paint. Her own kin. Her voice grows quiet. I know how I deal with that one. He's her own flesh and blood? That's the vilest thing I've ever heard. You can't be serious. That's horrible. It is the product of a corrupt and degenerate system of nobility. This is all to ensure that some drop of his blood, some mote of his essence cleaves to his fortune long after he's dust in the ground. Heron's own wife delivered nothing but hollowborn. Now he's got no heir, and his sister's child, Aelis, is reaching the age to marry. Without progeny of his own, Heron's legacy would pass to her issue. So he found a way to continue his own noble line, by putting his child in this girl, his own niece. And Animancy is part of your plot to destroy him. You didn't have to resort to violence. Someone could have helped Aelis. And yet no one did. Not that innkeeper who wasn't above taking his lordship's coin. Not Heron's attendants who must have known. Not even his wife, the poor girl's aunt. Depravity like this doesn't happen, but the people allow it. This is the truth that decent folk don't want to see. Sometimes you need excess to fight men like Heron. This isn't just about Heron or the girl. It's about the corrupting influences of power and wealth, how people of privilege, people like Heron, are so often insulated from the consequences of their actions. The charged essence of dozens of maltreated slaves and underlings is already taking root in her mind. Once it's established, it'll drive her to murder her uncle, her aunt, and anyone foolish enough to get in her way. People won't be able to look away from Heron's sins then. Ha! Leave it to Scaean to go to such lengths to avoid confrontations. How will this lord learn if he is not directly punished? Break the lord's body. Bestow upon him 100 red gifts. Let him know why he must suffer. Only then do you correct the problem. Seems like a lot of trouble to go to when a simple lynch mob will do. They don't get a lot of things right, but this kind of thing they know how to do with. I do not wish to destroy Nestor Heron. I wish to end his entire rotten line. His name will become a curse among strangers. The deeds of his house will be eclipsed by his ruin. Foes will hear his name and shudder with pity, and any relatives who should survive him will abandon their fortunes just to rid themselves of association. He watches us. You're hot-blooded, willful. But there's no room for mercy in my vengeance. Wipe Aelis's minds of the vengeful essence. I'll free Aelis from him, and I'll free her from you, too. We reach out to Aelis, seeking the dark crevices of her mind. The essence of 100 vindictive souls clouds her psyche, and we clear it the only way we can, by ripping out the horrifying memories to which they've attached themselves. It's taxing work, and some of the souls lash and sting at our mind. Dozens of voices hiss in rage and despair. We work faster and faster, uprooting thoughts and images of a man Aelis once knew as family. As we tear through the tangles of memory, leaving the shredded remains to waft and dissipate, we hear the sobbing of a lonely, scared girl in the middle of it all. The uprooted soul turns on us in earnest, but we don't stop until we've severed the last thread of connection. We've finally cleared the choking brambles of memory and fear. We retreat. We also feel the strain of our labors. Our head is pounding, and the slightest movement makes us dizzy with pain. For just a moment, Aelis's eyes close. When they open, her expression is blank. But as she takes in the scene before us, Wymond, the machinery in this strange, dark room, her confusion turns to fear. She lets out a choked cry. He curses under his breath and turns to the other cultists. Kill them, all of them. If she can't destroy Harren, then we can still destroy his legacy with her. And snare somebody. Oh, Wymond is still alive. The young woman blinks at us and takes a few steps back. Stay away. I don't know. She shakes her head and rubs her temples. What happened here? You wandered into a trap. She looks around at the dead cultists and pools of blood, her eyes widening in fear and confusion. But what? She winces and pitches forward, holding her head. Ilia's wings, I can hardly remember a thing. She pauses, then, brow furrowing, she mutters some name, something in a dialect of Rauatai, then Valian. Mon nom est... No, my name is Aelis. Her fingers dance at her side, plucking in the air at 3 repeating motions. A lyre. The opening notes of the false night. Her twitching fingers brush her swelling abdomen. She looks back at us, a question in her eyes. There's a reason you forgot, Aelis. It's best not to remember some things. You're a young lady who found herself in trouble with powerful people. She nods absently. I also know I can't go back to the village, though I don't remember why. She looks around at the strange machinery, and I certainly can't stay here. You should find your way to a big city. New Haemar, perhaps, or even the Valian Republic. Somewhere with plenty of opportunities. She's a suggestion sinks in slowly, but it seems to take root in the newly barren places of her mind. It's good advice. She takes a final glance at the blood-spattered chamber. I won't look back. She hurries away. Well, that's an unpleasant ending to it all. It's not over yet, of course. We have to go talk to the man responsible. But Scan will not walk. It's a little terrifying, having the effigy drifting around. I took a dagger. An exceptional dagger. Wait, what was that journal? Was that another copy of Scan's Last Stand? Wymond's notebook. The looping scribbles are difficult to read, but as we flip through the pages, we can make out several passages. Near the beginning, we read, will be a suitable place for my experiments. There's an abundance of space, and more importantly, the locals are content to ignore it. I could probably We skip a couple pages ahead. Willing volunteers. The legacy has brought many grievances to the surface, and capturing the essence is primarily a matter of timing. The ritual of the effigy serves as a good template for. We scan the middle of the book. died and their essence evaporated. Next time I'll have to try a smaller concentration of the reagent to the final page. Noble from Defiance Bay. Results were mostly consistent across the other subjects. The challenge is always applying the method to an unwilling participant, but a situation may prove an advantage. If I can bring those memories of her uncle to the forefront, it might render her essence more susceptible to the process. Does that mean that he sexually assaulted her to bring the memories to the forefront? Is that the implication there? Kind of what it sounds like to me. I don't understand how there's an entire, operation down here, and the town is not entirely aware of it. It's a small rural community. It's like the entire population of the town down here. Just deal a bunch of damage, my friend. Seen Widewind, farmer become god. I'm sure the Scaanites would be interested in Widewind's tale, considering a manifestation is akin to what they are attempting to do. But of course, this guy's only sort of a Scaanite. He's mostly an Animancer, it seems, and he was just imitating Scaanite rituals. Whoa, what? Two-sided failed. What was that? What was that? Oh, that was Aloth dying. Whoops. My bad. Wasn't paying close enough attention to you, my lad. Whew. 88 damage, 70 damage. Yeah. Pretty good crits there. Nice, already. The reload speed is now 50% up, and attack speed also 50% up. It is superb enchanted. See if we can really tell that it's good and not bad. I guess it's fast. I guess it's fast. I have to really load up an older save to compare it directly, I think, to get a sense. Still pretty slow. Although it was really slow before. It was pretty profoundly slow. I think this is a lot faster. I think it is working correctly. And now we don't need to pursue straight combat anymore either, because that was all we needed to do it for, was to upgrade that soulbound weapon. Which in turn means we can just leave. Not have to fuck around with this anymore. Right back up here. And we're back, okay. Dangler. No comment about the Scaanite cult under your fucking floorboards, huh? As we near, we feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Wait, no, that's one of the... Wait, where's the... Where's the gentleman? Blood Legacy. Where's Lord Hartmund? He's not here. Did he go upstairs? Lord Harrond. There he is. I seem to recall he moved. Or that he was up here, anyway. An elven man paces in the corner of the room, gnawing the thumb of his fine silk glove. What are you doing up here, unless you have news of my daughter? I found Aelis. My daughter? Is she safe? I let her go. His face is ashen. That can't be. What happened? You can't get to her now, and that's all that matters. His shoulders stiffen. I don't know what you're referring to, but I've heard enough already. Take this and let's put this unpleasantness behind us. Let's see. Yeah, let's just kill him. They don't like that in Defiance Bay. Our blows dispatched the old man more quickly than we'd like, but we're confident no one has hurt us. We're also confident no one asks too many questions when they find him dead. Amulet of Summer Solstice, +3 damage reduction from burn. The deer clothing. What does that make our reputation in Gilded Vale, or in Defiance Bay? How does that work? Cyclopedia? Notes? How do we check our reputations? I don't remember. It's somewhere. I'm pretty sure there's a place you can see it. Affiliations and injuries? No. Locations? No. Deities? Scan. Well, where is it? Oh, maybe it's here. Ah, there we go. Defiance Bay, we are now only moderately good. Previously, we were moderately good. I let her go. Someone is calling me. Who's calling me? My father calling to test his phone. You can't get her now, and that's what matters. Yeah, we'll just kill him, why not? Doesn't matter. He should go. Bad man. Hurts our reputation, but that'll be fine. Hopefully that will be fine. Whoa, caught stealing. Whoops. There we go. And, I think that will be all for now. When next we meet, we'll head north into those ruins. And, yeah, for whatever reason, you can't talk to anybody in this town about there being a Scanite cult that had claimed hundreds of lives under their feet. I mean, that seems significant to me, but I guess it's just not worthy of note. Been a pleasant surprise traveling with you, Haravius. Nice of you to say that. I was on the road alone for years, and I'm happy to have company for a change. He's racist. Adair is racist. My country has a saying about Orlands. Face of skin, let them in. Face of hair, best beware. But you're more like a skin-faced Orland. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, my tribe has a saying, head of brunette, they're all set. Head of blonde says everything wrong. Was that bad? I meant it like a compliment. Yes, he's racist. He's a racist. He's racist. The depiction of racism in Pillars of Eternity is canny. It's canny. Kanui. And that's all we have time for now. See you soon.